Understanding the eBird app Smart Sort, or what do the red and yellow dots mean? Smart Sort was introduced to the eBird mobile app for Android in November 2017 and was added to the iOS version a short time later. The Smart Sort uses the status and area from the eBird frequency generated from eBird data. This status is generated independently from the eBird filters. The Smart Sort is based on a 20 kilometer by 20 kilometer grid system. In this view from an eBird species map, I've zoomed out to where you can actually see the grids. While they look rectangular, they are actually squares. They look rectangular because of the projection the map uses. In most counties in Texas, there will be several grids. When you start an eBird checklist, eBird first determines the grid cell you're in and then looks at the data for a 3-week time period, 10 days before today and 10 days after today, or 21 days total. If there are 25 complete checklists in that time period, then eBird generates the Smart Sort dots for the grid. The number of checklists the Smart Sort is based on and the area are displayed at the top of the checklist. If eBird does not find 25 checklists in a grid for that 3-week period, then it uses a 3x3 block of 20 kilometer grid cells, or 60 kilometer by 60 kilometer area. If there are not enough checklists in the 60 kilometer area, then a 100 kilometer area or a 5x5 grid of 20 kilometer blocks are checked. If eBird still does not find enough data, then no Smart Sort dots are generated. When there is a yellow dot, it means that only 1 to 6% of the complete checklist for that area report that species. When there is a red dot, it means there are no reports of that species in the area for that 3-week time period. Since the Smart Sort dots are based on actual eBird checklists, there are situations where you can have an expected bird show as a red dot bird. You may be birding in an area that has very little habitat for that species in the grid, and so it has not been reported yet in that time period. It may also be a species that is hard to detect, and other birders may have missed that species so far. Filters in eBird usually cover entire counties, and many birds may be routinely expected in that county at that time of year in one location, but not in the grid you are in. A common example would be a large coastal county. Gulls and terns would be expected on nearly every checklist on the coast itself, but in the woods 30 miles from the coast, you would not expect them to occur. You might find that the gull when you enter it is a red dot bird, but does not prompt you for notes to confirm it. That's because it is routine in the filter area, but not in the present 20 kilometer by 20 kilometer grid. When you get a red dot bird, take a look at the number of checklists and the area used to generate the dots. If there are a lot of checklists or you're in a small 20 kilometer grid, a good practice would be to add a few notes even if not required for that bird. Think about it. If there are 25 checklists in a 20 kilometer by 20 kilometer area and that bird has never been reported, then you might have a regionally expected bird that is rare locally. Your notes will add value to others using the data in the future, and it's great practice for documenting rare birds later. When you enter a report for a red dot bird, you'll often find that the red dot is still there for several days from the same site. This is because eBird refreshes the frequency data for the dots only every 10 days. Depending on where your data is in that cycle, it could still be a red dot bird for up to 10 days. Brought to you by Cozy Birding, relax birding in beautiful places. Personal guiding for individuals and groups on the upper Texas coast, the Texas coastal bend, the Texas Rio Grande Valley, and Belize. Visit on the web at www.cozybirding.com.